Jaime from Inky&Scrappy, back with you today for card 8 in my So Amazing Stamp Set series featuring Long Fawn stamps. I'm not actually using any of the So Very Mice or Sewn with Love stamps in this one, so I will get to the stamp sets I end up using for this one when I get that far. I lied in number 7 when I said it was the last one of the series. I forgot I did this one, but technically it doesn't contain those 2 stamp sets, so it's like a bonus, okay? We'll call it a bonus. So I am using a Tim Holtz die set for my letters on this one, and I will list that down below if you are interested in it. And I am bringing in some Long Fawn stitched rectangle stacks, the big one and the smaller one. I'm not exactly sure which ones I use, but I know I used the bigger stack and the smaller stack. And then once I am happy with, kind of my placement on this one, I lined it up. I didn't like how it looked on there, once I had my stitch stack done. So I'm going to reline it up here again. But so this one is actually for my sister-in-law's mom, who is Hungarian. My sister-in-law is originally from Hungary, and so her mom doesn't speak English, and so I wanted to send her a thank you card because she ended up crocheting me a whole stack of dish towels, and so I decided to do a Hungarian thank you. I did Google the, thank you in Hungarian, so Kosunum. See, I'm not Hungarian in any way, shape, or form. But I did, Google it, laid it out, took a picture, sent it to my sister-in-law to make sure that I was spelling it right. I said there are the little dots. I don't think they're called tittles in Hungarian or German, so I'm not exactly sure what they're called. But I used the tittle from the I in this set. Maybe it was the I. It might have been from the exclamation point function, like the little period sort of thing on that one for my little dots over the O's on this one, just to, make sure I had the right letters for the Hungarian word. So I'm going to line this up, space it out kind of to my liking. I'm going to bring in that ruler just to kind of make sure it is straight across the top. Do I always go this good with my, making sure it's all straight? No, I usually don't. I am bringing in some highlighter tape there to pick it all up. This way I can just put glue on the back of each of those letters and put it all down at once, and it should be straight. Since I took the time to line it all up, make sure it was all straight, this is the best way for me to keep it all straight and lined up. And then the trick to this one is, once you lay it down, either A, don't put too much glue on it that the glue seeps out and gets stuck to your tape, because then it's a pain in the butt to get your tape off. But you want to pull it off slowly if it's still a little bit wet, making sure everything is where you want it before you pull the tape off, and then holding it down. If you pull it backwards against itself, it usually lets loose fairly good. But allowing those letters to dry just a little bit so they stick. And then for those, we're going to call them tittles because I don't know what they're called. I just put the drops of glue on top of the O's and then put them on with the little jewel picker and or crystal katana after the fact, because it probably wouldn't have gone very well to do that with the tape all at the same time. I've needed 2 pieces of tape for all at the top, and we all know that I'm not that coordinated, so that wasn't going to happen. So the idea behind this one was I really wanted to add in some hand stitching. She spent all the time making all of those dishcloths for me, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time doing a little bit of stitching on this one as well. I figured it would go very well with the whole, knitting / crochet stitching sort of theme for this one, but it also adds just a lot to the card overall. And so I kind of worked a little bit with placement because I hadn't had the tittles on the top of those O's. I don't know, they're probably not called O's. And so I wanted to make sure that it was going to be, you know, placement-wise, it was going to be okay. I thought about taking the lamp out, bringing it back in. I ultimately decided to use it just because I knew she probably did a lot of it in... I always thought she did it on the couch, but I think when I was out there in May, Pika's like, no, she did it at the kitchen table, like at the chair, because the light was better by that window or something. I don't know. So I'm bringing in a super old stencil here. It is from 2007 from Bazzil Basics, I do believe. I'm sure you can't get it anymore, but if you can, if you love stitching on cards, this one, I love swirly things. It's just one of those things. Like, you know you have a favorite thing, right? Like, this is one of my favorite things, is just swirls. Like, when I did scrapbooking stuff, I loved adding swirls to things. I just think it's playful and freeform, and it's just fun to do. So, anyways, I love this stencil set. I'll keep it forever, and yes, it's got a cut in it, or, you know, like, I've broken it, taped it back together. It will last me for the long haul. I should probably trace it and make sure that I have a copy of it somewhere because I like it. But you could definitely take a swirl and stamp it and figure out your holes and, you know, make your own stencil sort of thing. If it's something that you want to try or you like the look of, you can probably do a computer generated one and do it that way as well. It just, I like to have the guide there. So I'm going to start by using some of that, is it DC thread? DMC thread? I think it's DMC thread, right? I just picked a color that coordinated well with my images, so I went with that pink. Since my letters were blue, I wanted to kind of have that pop of pink on the front there. And so I do bring back in that stitching guide there to kind of show me which holes to start, at least for that little loopy loop in the center of the swirl. You know, and then just back and forth. If you watched my mom card, I was a little slower on some of the stitching so you could see it to start with, but it's just a simple line stitch, so back and forth in the holes there to get a straight solid line on the front of the card. Once I have that done, I am going to bring in my images here. And they do end up staying on the actual card base here. I was kind of worried that they were going to overhang, but then I remembered I'm double matting it, so it's not a huge deal. But so I will add in my little spools of yarn here as well. And then before I finish, I will bring in my paper layers that are cut with the Lawn Fawn stitch stack, using some score tape over that stitched area on top so it sticks down well. Doing a double mat because I knew that my image or my scene was going to be smaller, and so I wanted to do that double mat. It kind of, so if you have a smaller scene, doing a double mat kind of cuts down on your scene size, if that makes sense. And so that was kind of what I did with this one. Plus you get those fun pops of color with that pattern paper, and then that solid really makes that white panel pop off of the card front. And then I'm bringing in some Cave Crystals by Trinity Stamps here just to do a little bit of bling and fill in that scene just a little bit. And so once I am happy with those, I will add that onto a card base. And then on the inside, I did actually Google Translate a handwritten thank you message, and so it is on its way to Hungary as we speak. I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for watching. Bye!